Schools have reopened for another year, and classrooms, athletic fields, and hallways are buzzing with the return of students, staffs, and teachers. After several challenging years due to the COVID pandemic, education leaders are looking forward to getting back into a groove that's closer to normal, as well as adapting to current priorities. We're starting a series of profiles on area schools, and our first stop was with the Bennington Rutland Supervisory Union, which operates public kindergarten to 6th and 8th grade schools in Manchester, Dorset, Danby, Paulet, Sunderland, and Londonderry. Those schools in turn serve additional neighboring communities, Weston, Peru, Landgrove, Mount Tabor, and Rupert, along with Winhall, a separate district within the BRSU. We wanted in particular to learn about some of the new programs and initiatives that schools and school districts might be launching this year. So that's where we started with School Superintendent Dr. Randi Lowe.
This is hands down my favorite time of the year. Anybody who knows me knows that I get ridiculously excited about the first day, and one of the things that I do every year is I get to all 6 of our schools and visit every classroom and say hello, which was great this year. So welcome back, everybody. So I think probably the biggest change that we have this year is that we have a new ELA, English Language Arts, like a reading and writing curriculum. It's called Into Reading for our elementary grades and Into Literature for our middle school grades. And so the last 2 years, we had teachers and administrators working together to review our previous materials and ultimately decide on this one. So we have a new reading adoption, and that's a very big deal. So all of our teachers have got materials before the end of the school year and had a chance to explore them if they wanted to. And then we provided training at the beginning of this year. And so for families and for teachers and students, that will be a pretty big change. Tied to that, we are in year 2. We've got a group of teachers who it's like a cohort of teachers who have been participating in a course called Lead to Read, which is really evidence-based reading practices tied to the science of reading. So learning about how children learn, where breakdown happens, how to address areas of breakdown, and they'll tie really, really well with our new curriculum. And the purpose of all those changes is to help increase our reading skills for our kids and have more kids reading at grade levels at earlier grades. So I'm excited about seeing it move forward this year.
So one of the issues that has been talked about a lot is as we are hopefully coming out of the COVID pandemic era and into whatever is to follow, that over the past 2 to 3 years or whatever, there were concerns that some students had missed a lot of classroom time and in-person learning. Now I know that BRSU schools went back to in-person fairly early compared to other places, but I just wondered, are you seeing any evidence that there's a need for students who were impacted by the first year or so of the pandemic to play quote-unquote catch-up, or need extra help to get back to grade level, or have they already sort of caught up as far as you can tell?
It's a great question. So I just finished a analysis over the last 3 years, and we've been using a benchmark assessment system called iReady for the last 3 years, and we did not use it pre-pandemic, but iReady has their national data from pre-pandemic. And so when we look at our growth and we look at our performance levels, we are able to compare our performance to the national norm from the 18-19 school year, which you could argue was sort of the average pre-pandemic of how kids across the country were doing. Then we're also able to compare it to where students are nationally now. So in both reading and math, what we see is that our students are performing as well as the national norm pre-pandemic. And that means performing better than the national average now. So I don't know, we don't have a way to really look at what does that mean for our students compared to our students pre-pandemic, but nationally that's where things stand. So I feel reasonably good about that. It's nice to know that we are outperforming the national norm now, and we are aligned with where things were pre-pandemic nationally. So that doesn't mean, that we aren't continually trying to improve and have more students performing at grade level, but we're seeing some really nice growth each year. That we've looked at our Ready results, we're seeing more students achieving greater levels of growth. So that it also feels really good, and we'll continue to be looking at that and maximizing student growth wherever we can.
And one of the other, I guess you could call it innovations that has been coming along in the past couple of years anyway, is this whole issue around, language model chatbots, or I guess the one best known program is the GNAT-TV, but Google makes its Bard program, and there's a couple of others out there. And of course, a lot of people think that, this is going to enable students to kind of write term papers quickly and easily without doing the research or whatever that normally would have happened in previous era.
Right.
I guess I just wonder, what is your feeling about that? Do you think, on the one hand, students need to get exposed to this technology and learn how to use it appropriately? Or is it really a big red flag out there saying we have to figure out a way to make sure we understand when the students are writing papers or completing writing assignments based on their own work, as opposed to asking a chatbot for the right prompt?
Right.
To finish the assignment?
Well, it's definitely a very interesting question, and as you just indicated, there's at least two different trains of thought on that. We don't operate a high school, as you know, so that is for sure. I think in many ways a benefit to us, because high school students are savvier, they're more well developed in their ability to try to maybe get away with a paper that they did not write. Having a high school senior right now and attending sessions for preparation for college, this is definitely a topic that college admissions counselors are talking about, making it very, very clear. Do not use ChatGPT or any other AI software to write your essay, or that is the fastest way for you to not be accepted into the school. So I think there are lots of levels of monitoring of it at the high school and college level for sure. Being a K-8 system, we're not sure what we're going to do yet. For most of our students, if they were to have an assignment, let's say in 7th grade for something, and decide that they were going to go to an AI software to write their paper, most of the time we'd be able to figure that out. I think. I can't commit to it, but I think we would be able to. I feel like at this point, our primary responsibility is really educating kids. We're, in the elementary and middle schools, we don't want our students cheating. We don't want our kids doing something that's unethical, but they also need to be educated and learn about why we don't do this and what the repercussions can be if they do it, and what the downside is, so that we help them to be able to make better decisions for themselves in the future. So we're gonna meander our way through this and learn along with everybody else. I'm definitely not taking a hard line on one way or the other. I feel like there's a lot that we're all still learning, and we are going to do the best we can to learn as adults and to educate our kids.
And then just finally, I know one of the issues in the past couple of years has been finding teachers and staff and folks to work at the school, bus drivers, for instance. How is that going? Were you able to fully staff the schools satisfactorily so far, at least at the beginning of this year, or is that still an ongoing challenge?
It continues to be a challenge. We are almost all the way staffed. We've had a couple positions that were hard to fill. We had a kind of late summer resignation. We were able to actually fill that position, which I was very pleased about. We've had to do patchwork with a position at Ledbrook, a music position. I tend to think that challenges provide opportunities, and so they are doing some pretty innovative and interesting things up there to address this, and I think that their students are going to have some pretty interesting opportunities. And I'm encouraging that type of creativity and kind of innovative work for kids to learn content in a different way. So we are still looking for some paras. I believe we will probably be looking for custodians and bus drivers for a while. So if anybody would like to do work for us, we would love to have you. We can always use bus drivers, and we will help you with your CDL license. A pretty great place to work with good benefits. See, I can just do the spiel for you, Andrew. But we are in better shape than other places, but we still have openings. Special education, we've had to be really creative this year around service provision because we're still short a couple of special educators. So that's been challenging, but we're working really hard to make sure all kids' needs are met.
We'll be visiting as many local schools as possible in upcoming weeks to hear from those local education leaders. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.